We live in a world that celebrates effort. We are taught from a young age that success comes from pushing, from striving, from trying harder. We are conditioned to believe that the more force we apply, the more likely we are to achieve our goals, manifest our desires, or simply make things happen. And so, we push. We grind. We white-knuckle our way through challenges, convinced that sheer willpower is the key that unlocks every door. And yet, how often do we find ourselves utterly exhausted, frustrated, and still stuck? How many times have you poured every ounce of your energy into making something work, a relationship, a career goal, a creative project, only to watch it remain stubbornly stagnant, or worse, fall apart? It feels counterintuitive, almost like a cosmic joke. We're doing everything right by the conventional definition, and yet, nothing flows. Then, something shifts. Maybe we hit a wall and simply can't try anymore. Maybe we get distracted, or surrender in exhaustion, or just let go. And in that moment of releasing the desperate grip, something magical happens. The door that was bolted shut suddenly swings open. The stagnant water begins to move. The elusive answer appears not because we chased it harder, but because we stopped running. Why is it that so often everything starts to flow precisely when we stop trying so hard? This isn't laziness. This isn't apathy. This is an ancient wisdom, whispered through the ages, often forgotten in the noise of modern striving. It's the understanding that there is a natural current to life, a flow, and that our most forceful efforts often create the very resistance that blocks us from it. Think about a river. If you try to paddle upstream with all your might, fighting the current, it is arduous, tiring, and slow. But if you turn your boat and go with the flow, the river carries you effortlessly. This is a simple, yet profound, metaphor for how we interact with the energy of the universe. When we try to force outcomes, we are often paddling upstream against a powerful current. This trying, this pushing, is often born from a place of fear that things won't happen unless we control every variable, fear of not being enough, fear of uncertainty. Fear creates tension, constricting our energy and blocking the natural movement of life towards us. Our ancestors understood this on a deep, intuitive level. They lived more closely with the rhythms of nature, observing the effortless unfolding of seasons, the unforced growth of plants, the natural migration of animals. They saw that true power lay not in domination and control, but in harmony and alignment. They knew that everything has its season, its time, and its natural path. Their rituals, their prayers, their way of life were often about aligning themselves with this greater cosmic flow, rather than attempting to bend it to their will. They planted seeds with intention and care, yes, but they didn't stand over them, yelling at them to grow faster. They trusted the earth, the rain, and the sun. When we stop trying to force things, we are not giving up on our dreams or goals. Far from it. We are shifting our energy. We are moving from a state of tension and resistance to a state of trust and receptivity. We are acknowledging that while our actions are important, the ZIV outcome is not solely dependent on our frantic effort. There is a larger intelligence at play, a field of potential that responds not to our struggle, but to our alignment. Stopping the desperate struggle allows us to relax, and in that relaxation, our perspective shifts. We become more open to possibilities we couldn't see when we were rigidly focused on one narrow path. We become more sensitive to intuitive nudges, to subtle signs, to the quiet whispers of wisdom that guide us towards our highest good. Our creativity flows more freely because the channels aren't clogged with anxiety. Our interactions with others improve because we aren't radiating desperation. This is where conscious action differs fundamentally from frantic trying. Conscious action is inspired, aligned, and present. It is taking the steps that feel right, guided by intuition and inner knowing, without being attached to a specific, rigid outcome. Frantic trying, on the other hand, is driven by fear and lack, characterized by a feeling of pushing a heavy weight uphill. It's the difference between a martial artist moving with effortless power and someone flailing wildly in a fight. So, how do we cultivate this state of effortless flow? It begins with awareness. Noticing when we are trying too hard, when the energy feels forced, when our actions are driven by anxiety rather than inspiration. It involves radical self-compassion, recognizing that the urge to control often comes from a place of vulnerability. It requires cultivating trust in ourselves, trust in the process of life, and trust in something larger than ourselves, whether you call it the universe, spirit, or the divine. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, spending time in nature, and engaging in creative expression can help us connect with this state of flow. They quiet the anxious mind and allow us to tap into a deeper well of intuition and peace. They remind us that we are part of a vast, interconnected web of life, and that we don't need to carry the weight of the entire world on our shoulders. Stopping trying doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming aligned. It means setting your intention, taking inspired action, and then releasing the outcome to the wisdom of the universe. It's like planting a seed. You choose the seed, set intention. You prepare the soil and water it. Take inspired action, but you don't force it to grow. You trust that if the conditions are right, it will unfold in its own perfect time. Perhaps you've experienced this paradox in your own life. A time when you finally let go of a struggle, and suddenly, everything fell into place. Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to release their own struggle. Embracing this principle is a journey, not a destination. There will still be times when the old patterns of fear and control resurface. But with practice, we can become more adept at recognizing when we've slipped into the mode of frantic trying, and consciously choose to return to a state of trust and flow. This is the path of surrender, not surrender to defeat, but surrender to the natural, powerful current of life that is always moving towards growth, expansion, and wholeness. When we stop fighting the current and allow ourselves to be carried, we find that the journey is not only easier, but far more beautiful and abundant than we could have ever imagined through force alone. We discover that true power lies not in control, but in harmony, not in forcing, but in allowing. If this message resonated with you, please give this video a like. It helps this wisdom reach more people who might be caught in the cycle of trying too hard. And if you are on a path of spiritual growth, self-discovery, and connecting with ancient wisdom, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for being open to the gentle power of letting go. May you find your flow,